Welcome to another episode of the Chronicles of Mister. I'm Mr. Pierre, and I am joined by an awesome entrepreneur, a magnificent Black woman by the name of Bibb. Welcome to the show, Day.
Thank you for having me.
To begin with, as an entrepreneur, as a person who is out there on your own with several ventures from the Helen Rose Company as well as Thrive, can you tell the folks a little bit about who you are?
So I am a regular skirt lady. Hmm. I was born and raised in Portland, Oregon, which is a story within itself as being a Black woman. I'm raised in a predominantly white space, in predominantly white spaces all of my life. I am the owner and CEO of Helen Rose Skin Care, and I'm the founder and executive director of Thrive, which is a nonprofit organization for domestic violence survivors. And I'm a domestic violence survivor myself, so I'm very, very passionate about helping people navigate through that type of trauma. And I'm a yoga enthusiast, I'm a yoga teacher, a single mom, and I'm exhausted all the time.
As an educator, as a teacher, I feel you. You've got a lot of caps that you're wearing. So shout out to you. You deserve all the flowers and then some. I know for myself personally, it was the Helen Rose Skin Company that I saw a TikTok that got me interested in being able to talk to you. And I know that there are educators and listeners of the podcast who they themselves are looking to get out there. But what was your sort of entrepreneurial beginning? How did your journey into this realm start?
I mean, it really just started with needing to create a revenue stream. So when you are starting a nonprofit organization, within the first 3 years, particularly as a Black-led organization, because the people who hold the funding look like that typically.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
So it's really difficult to get the funding that you need. So you have to be really creative. And I started making skincare just out of a need. So my daughter had really terrible eczema. I have incredibly sensitive skin. I couldn't find anything on the market that satisfied the things that I needed. I couldn't use peanut ingredients because of my daughter, so I can't use shea butter. Coconut oil also exacerbated a lot of the things that she was going through. And it
Wow.
was to the point where she's like scratching herself till bleeding. And I'm like
Oh.
at the end of my rope. I don't want to keep using steroids. I'm really into naturopathic medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started doing research. And I came up with a blend of the butter, the hero product that I make now, but also I started making my own oils and stuff for my own personal use. So it just started out with like people just asking me what I use for my skin. My skin's super clear, and I tell people how old I am too. They're like, "What?" So I started just making stuff for my friends, and then it got to me. I was like, "Oh, you know what? I could possibly utilize this to either create some excitement around my nonprofit organization or to actually get some money."
Mm-hmm.
So I had an event I was doing anyway, and I just happened to bring a bunch of butters and oils with me, and I sold out. And I was like,
Okay.
"Oh." And then in 2019, in December, I did a pop up on my birthday, and it was like a fundraiser for Thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And I sold out so fast that I had to leave the fundraiser early. And I was like, okay, I really do have something. And side note, the company is named after my mom. My mom's real name was Helen Rose, and she passed away in 2019.
My
So I
condolences.
wanted to do something cool to commemorate her legacy because she was just such a cool woman and she was just so strong and so innovative. And she sacrificed everything for her children and not over the world. So that's why I named the company.
Got it.
So then fast forward to COVID, I lost my corporate job. And I was like, yes, I do this for that. I mean, it's not that cut and dry, like I launched the company, it did well, then it kind of fell off, then I went back to work. And so there was like a lot of things that happened in between that happening and now. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the motivation was to be able to create a revenue stream.
And you mentioned that those first 3 years or so being difficult. What would
Hmm.
you if you could go back and tell yourself one or two things, what would be the one or two things like, hey, be on the lookout for this. This is coming down the pipeline, or not? What would be that thing that you tell yourself, like, be aware of this?
Um, don't depend on your friends to be your core customer base.
Hmm.
Even though they will support you out of the gate, you still need to cultivate those networking, those super valuable networking connections that are outside of your family and friendship core.
Okay.
And I ended up hiring a business coach in April 2020. I would have hired a business coach as soon as I
Soon.
started because that is key.
Why do you think that was something that you did later rather than sooner?
I didn't understand the benefits of
Okay.
it. I knew that it would be, like obviously having a mentor or a coach is good,
Hmm.
but I didn't understand how it would completely change the way that I look at business and
Hmm.
the way that I look at leveraging knowledge.
Okay. So the reason why I ask is I'm sure there are teachers or individuals who are listening to this podcast who are like, yeah, I have this idea. I can just go about it my own self. Similar to what your story of like, hey, I do this fill in the blank really well. My friends and family are all about it. They're asking for it. What was it? What was it about that coach that sort of took it to that next level, if you will?
Accountability.
Okay. Talk on that.
The coach created the sense of urgency around accountability that I didn't have before.
Hmm.
So when you hire a coach, they are there to help you win a game. They are not there to be. They're not there to coddle you. They're not
Yep.
there to, there's a purpose. They're there to help you win the game, and they will give you tough feedback, criticism, and you will need to take accountability. So that coach created a 3-year plan and then broke that plan down into annual and then into quarterly and then into monthly and then into weekly.
There you go.
And we had to have our monthly check-ins. And if there
Yeah.
were things on our check-ins that I did not hit, I had to have a reason
Hmm.
why I did not
Yeah.
do. And then I had to have a mitigation plan on how I was going to not um, let things fall through the cracks on our next check-in. That's something that a friend and a family member is never going to do for you.
I mean, save for the folks in the back. No, for so many things, that lever of accountability. Someone who's like, look, I'm here for one reason and one reason
Mm-hmm.
only. It's for your business to do well, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
business may be. Friends and family, like, oh no, be kind to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Chill. You want to go get drinks? Let's go do it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you have X, Y, and Z that you know that you need to do for a week, and there's going to be someone who's going to be checking in
Mm-hmm.
with you, and someone who you're compensating for their time and knowledge, then it's like,
Exactly.
look, I
Because you're not
love
gonna
to,
waste that
I can't.
money. You're not gonna
Right,
waste that
right,
money
right.
and that was the key for me was how much skin do I have in the game?
Mm-hmm.
How
Mm-hmm.
much do I really believe in myself? Do I believe in myself enough to pay this money to someone else?
Yeah.
And I did.
Yep. That's what's up. Which is why you are successful in what you're doing. Yeah. It's not by accident. The
Hmm.
intentionality of it all is what, for anyone who's listening, is like, look, if you really believe in yourself, put your money where your mouth is, put your money where your heart is,
Hmm.
and you'll see how if you're really about that life.
That is the truth.
What are some of the struggles? Because it's not just going to be an easy road. What are some of the struggles that you've had to go through that you're like, I needed that, or
Hmm.
if I had known this earlier, if I had the coach earlier, I would have avoided X,
Hmm.
Y, or Z.
I would say one of my biggest struggles is imposter syndrome, or
Hmm.
has been and continues to be. I have a lot of that feeling of like, what do I think I deserve? And do I see myself leading in the capacity that I've seen others led? And who do I think I am? And if
Hmm.
I don't feel like I'm adequate, why do I feel that way? And is it because society has always told me that this is how much you're worth?
Yeah.
And if you try to break that barrier, we will, push you down.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be that. So I still struggle with that, but I also have to balance that with humility.
Hmm.
So, like it does take a certain amount of arrogance. And also, like, I always tell people, like, you have to be a little bit delusional to be an entrepreneur. Because you have to be like, yeah, I never did none of this before, but this is going to be good. Like,
This is gonna
you
work.
have to have some type of arrogance about you that you
Yeah.
can do something that you have never done before. But you also have to have the humility to be able to look like a beginner and to
Mm-hmm.
make mistakes and to own those mistakes and to not try to hide those mistakes and then to correct.
Got it.
So
Got it.
the struggles, there's always going to be struggles. There's going to be struggles with, like, say, you don't. There's things that you don't know. You don't know supply chain. You don't know procurement. You don't know accounting or whatever. That's fine, but you need to be honest with yourself about how are you going to go about um, making that work for your business. Are you going to try to learn it all yourself? Are you going to hire someone? Are you going to hire? Who are you going to hire? Is it
Hmm.
going to be somebody that you trust? How do you know you're going to be able to trust them? How are you going to vet that they're the person that's right for the job?
Questions.
Um,
Questions.
I found myself liking people and hiring them, and that was my downfall in certain things, because just because you like someone for their personality doesn't mean,
Yeah.
just because your homegirl does this don't mean that she's the right fit for your business. That doesn't mean that she's a bad fit for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
She just might not be the right fit for you. And those are the types of things that I had to learn. I had to learn how to self motivate. I'm already a pretty much self motivated person,
Yeah.
but there are days where I'm just like, I'm staying in bed, and you really can't do that as much as you would like to.
Yep.
And there isn't anyone checking in on you to see, except your bank account. Your bank
Hmm.
account be like, hold on, lady, like, what are you doing?
Numbers don't lie.
And then doing things that are outside of my comfort zone. So, like, I was very uncomfortable running ads. Was like, that's wasting money to me. That's crazy. And those are the types of things that you have to get comfortable with, because marketing is key. And it's like those. I, my biggest advice to people is just to say, like, educating yourself. But I'm gonna go back to the business coach. You can, like, most valuable thing you can do, because you can tell this coach what you're uncomfortable with,
Yeah.
and then that coach can guide you to be, in a way to where, to the right directions and the right answers. So there's definitely always going to be mistakes. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be times when you're just going to be like, I just want to quit.
Mm.
I just don't feel like I can do this. I went back to work for a year, and I was embarrassed.
Oh.
I was felt like people were going to think my business was failing.
Mm.
I felt like people were going to judge me for that. And I went back to work because I made the decision that I can't grow this business and try to live off of it at the same time, and which was true.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I need some reserves. I need health insurance. I need,
Yeah.
some things. And that year, I was like, I'm going to have to get myself together this year, because I'm giving myself a year to get it together.
So you had that goal of I'm not coming back here to sort of like plant myself or replant myself here. This is intentional of I'm coming back to this other life outside of the company to spend
Hmm.
to shore myself up so that I can jump back in and stay back in.
Yes.
All right.
And that was incredibly difficult, because you can get really comfortable
Right.
getting those paychecks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep that, something has to keep that hunger inside of you. Like, I know I can do this. So I gave myself a year, 1 year and 3 months after I went ahead and left my job. So here I'm back. I left it in February, and here we are. I'm back on the entrepreneurship. And
And
it's incredible. It's scary.
okay,
It's crazy, but it's incredible.
because that was gonna be my next question of like, since jumping back in, coming back to it all, how has it been? Like, what is that? Because you mentioned that fire. Like, what's that fire that you've got, or you stoked once again, or that got
Hmm.
stoked that is allowing you to continue?
There's a lot of things that I want to be able to do for my community that I'm not gonna be able to do on paychecks. So one of the realities that of corporate America or just the corporate world in general, I don't knock anybody that has a 9 to 5 job. I think that that's incredible. I think getting an education and having that as a goal is incredible. But the reality of that situation is that job is going to dictate how much you're worth or how much
Mm-hmm.
your hours or your hourly worth is.
Yep.
And there is, I don't want to be held under that ceiling because I feel I want to help, I want to change things in this world. There are so many things that I want to change in this world. And in order to change, make change, you need money to do that.
It's a reality. Yep. Yep.
That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah.
You need money to do that. I want to be able to create a legacy for my children.
Hmm.
I want to be able to show people that things that your wildest dreams are possible. And I do believe that. So that fire was like, you're going to have to take a leap of faith. You cannot do both. You're not going to be able to put 80, 90% of your energy into this corporate job and then grow your business with the leftover 20 and then also try to raise your family and take care of yourself and go to the gym and drink water and something's you're going to
She
have to
said,
choose.
"Drink water." They don't let me get a drink of water.
I'm just saying, like, you're gonna
Yeah.
have to choose. And so I'm like, I chose and I
Yeah.
took that leap of faith and it has been a wild ride. But when you take that leap of faith, you have to be relentless
Mm-hmm.
with it. Like there's no excuse me, I'm gonna cough real quick. There's no you have to be relentless in a way to where I'm trying to think of the right words. So, of course, you're going to be able to take. But when I say like relentless, I mean you have to have like activities planned out to reach each goal. You cannot just be like, okay, in 2 months, I want to be making $20,000 a month of revenue. You have to be like, these five activities are going to lead me to $5,000 a month in revenue. And then when I add these other five activities in, that's going to lead me to 10. And then these additional five activities is going to lead me to 15. That is how relentless you have to
So what I'm hearing you say is some of the comforts of working for quote unquote someone else is that you can sort of chill. I do my 9 to 5. Once it's 5:01, it's now my time. I'm off. Whereas when you are the entrepreneur, you're instead of it being 90-10, it's flipped where you are the 90% is like, hey, the business, and knowing that you have to do X, Y, and Z in order to get to this first thing, then another X, Y, and Z to
do.
get to the next, and so on and so forth.
I
And
would,
I
I,
think,
I'll go ahead.
oh,
I said
no,
I wouldn't call corporate job chilling.
yeah,
I know a lot of people would struggle with it. I would say it's what I'm saying is, you know how when you go in for your job interview and they have a position description
mm-hmm,
of the position. And in the position description, you read the position description and you say, okay, these are my qualifications. I can do this. This is what they're expecting me to do on a daily basis. These are the things that they're expecting me to hit on a weekly basis. These are the things that they're expecting me to do in order for me to get my raise at the end of the year. No
right,
one's
right,
writing that for you, an entrepreneur. You are
you do,
creating your position description. So you're creating your benchmarks, you're creating your milestones, you're creating whatever is going to move the needle to get you to wherever you need to be. And
got you,
no one is following up with you to see if you are hitting that. No one is doing a performance review. No one is, that is something that has to come from within, and that is hard as it gets. That is
mm,
hard. That is incredibly difficult So you
Got it.
have to be on it like that. And then not only that, if you are hitting those benchmarks and you're still not making the revenue that you need, then now you have to pivot.
Yep.
Now you
Yep.
got to go back to the drawing board and you have to create new benchmarks and you have to create you have to get different insights.
Yeah.
It's just it's a constant taking in of information and digesting that information and pulling out whatever it is that you need from that to get you to the next level.
Got it. And so I think what I'm realizing in having this conversation with you is this is where the coach is so vital. Because the coach will, if you're a person who's never done it, like you just
Mm-hmm,
mentioned, you may create these milestones and these benchmarks, and you're like, but I'm still not making, like you said, I'm not making that $5,000 a week that's just going to lead to 20,000 a month. How do I do that? And
mm-hmm,
if you're not aware, this is where the coach is going to come in and be able to say, like, oh, yeah, you're doing these three things, but these are not the three biggest levers. You ought to be
mm-hmm,
doing da 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 da.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Or
Okay.
you're not
So,
reaching the audience that you're supposed to be reaching. Or
right,
you're not
right,
coming across as authentic, so people don't like you. Or
right.
there's
This is
so
true.
many things that go
Yeah.
into that. It's like, or your cash flow is messed up because you like to eat out too much, or whatever, and that's a reality.
Yeah. No, you're speaking from the point of experience, and anyone who's listening who's like, I'm thinking of getting into this, these are the things that you need to be mindful of. That, yeah, if you're not mindful of all your P's and Q's, you're gonna think something's important when in reality it's not. Or, as you mentioned, these other things that I'm making all these adverts, like you're not connecting with the audience who needs to be
Hmm.
connecting with. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
that's that's the truth. So, I guess my next question to you is then, how do you stay motivated? Because it's super easy to, all right, I'm gonna chill.
Well,
And I
I'll
know we've got bills and whatnot, but what keeps you, like, it can't just solely be like, hey, I gotta pay this and this, but what keeps what keeps day going?
I absolutely love what I do. So I'm just a naturally creative person. I like to create things. I like to make really pretty things. I love interacting with people. So I try to do things that I enjoy to keep me motivated. So,
Okay.
I do a lot of pop-up markets, and one of my favorite things to do at pop-up markets is just like clown around with my customers. So we be making TikToks, we be twerking, we be talking, we be cutting up, eating food. I like to take pictures with people. I like to make videos for them. I always
Nice.
make sure I go around to all of my friends at the market and purchase something from them so that I can make a little video for them. I just do things that I enjoy.
That's
And
what's up.
so that really makes it a lot easier and it makes surrounding myself with other business owners keeps me motivated.
Hmm.
It keeps me feeling like, you know what, like even if I feel like I'm struggling, when we
Yeah.
have these conversations, we come up with these great ideas, we come up with collaboration ideas. There's times like I have a friend that sells coffee, and I was like, do you do anything with the leftover coffee grinds? And they're
Hmm.
like, we throw them out. And I was like, will you give them to me or I can purchase them from you
Yeah.
and I can make some coffee squares. And then if you send me your logo, I'll throw your logo on the scrub and then we can do a collaboration. Like things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Those types
Yep.
of
Yep.
things be fueling me. I'd be like, what else? Like, what can we do to get these, to amplify our voices?
Yeah.
Another thing that is, I am very passionate about helping Black people and people of color gain visibility in this
Hmm.
incredibly white city that we live in. So I love to do events that are strictly for people of color or just for Black people or just for Black women or
Hmm.
just highlight, like, listen, whatever it is that you was watching on TV that you thought about Black people, that's cool. But this is, we just regular people and we have
Yeah.
really good ideas and we're really
Yeah.
smart and we're innovative. And these are things that we have to offer. That keeps me motivated. There's times
Same.
when I get invited to do events and I'm like, cool, I'll do your event, but I'm going to bring three of my favorite Black businesses with me.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we're
Yep.
like, no, we just want you. And I'm like, yeah, no. So what
Nah,
we're
it's a
going to
package
do
deal.
is
Yeah.
we're gonna do this.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
I am incredibly passionate about that. Like breaking barriers, moving the shaking things up. Like I know that you
Yeah.
thought that this was what this was. Well, what this really
Nah,
is we're gonna apply some black voices today.
exactly. No, I love that. I love that because part of the genesis of this podcast was there was when I first started this podcast 2% who were black men. And the more
Mm,
and more I was talking to folks, it's now down to 1.3. It's the same. It's like, look, I recognize that being a teacher may not be the thing that you want to do. However, there are black and brown kiddos who need to see black and
mm,
brown men in front of them. And in knowing that, yeah, school may not have been the most happiest place on the earth for you. However, if you are able to come in, if you are able to do the work that needs to be done, it is fantastic. And hearing what you're saying of I'm going to go to these spaces and I'm letting them know that it's not just me. There are others who are just
mm-hmm.
as qualified, just as great as I am, and I'm bringing them with me to get them into the room. That's the kind of support and assist and alley oops that, yeah, I'm hoping that more of us are able to do. Because you're
Yeah.
right, we're not a monolith. It's so many great folks who are out there, but the door is just not open to them, or they're just not even aware that the door is there.
Right.
And so, getting them to be like, no, 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 come through.
And what
Like
you're not
this
gonna
is
do is use me as the face of diversity and
exactly
then
that
not be
token. Yep.
diverse. So that's what you're not finished.
Yes. Yes.
I know
Absolutely.
I look nice, but
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't make it. Don't make that mistake. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. This part of the podcast, as we're coming to an end, is a selfish one. It's what I like to ask folks of. Are there any books that you're reading at the moment that you would highly recommend? Something that you're like, yo, I wish I got to this sooner, but now that I'm here, I want to share it.
there are books that I'm rereading that I've
Yeah.
already read. So
Go for it.
I'm a nerd and I like historical fiction.
Okay. Okay.
Really bad.
There's nothing bad about that, Queen. Go for it. What is it?
Have you ever read The 20th Wife?
The 20th Wife. No, but I'll
No.
check with my wife to see if that's one that I should be reading.
Okay.
But you would recommend that.
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
it's one of the, I have a really vivid imagination, and so like I like to read about. So it's the this is an Indian. This is like Indian Empire, Eastern Indian Empire, and it's about
Okay.
a wife. She ends up being the 20th wife of the Indian. I don't even remember what I don't know what the term for king is there, but
Title is yeah, yeah.
so but it's just a really good book. So like that one, and then I started rereading this book about the Ptolemy Empire.
Okay. Okay.
So like the how the Ptolemy line leads to Cleopatra.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not about Cleopatra. This is about everybody else that was there.
Everybody but her.
This is
Got it.
about like Berenice and like her dad and like Ptolemy the first, second, third, and like by the time it gets to her, it's like the 12th or 13th or something like that. Ptolemy like the 12th or 13th. So this starts with like Ptolemy one, and it's a historical fiction mix. So a lot of the book is not real at all. It's told from the perspective of Egyptian gods.
Got it.
So
Woo. All right.
I know I'm
I'm
there.
no, I am looking forward to when this episode drops. How many people are gonna comment that they too are historical and they like the historical fiction, that they are nerds or blurs as well. So we'll wait to see what the community says. Okay, so we got those two.
I'm
What
like,
about
when I tell you, my favorite book of all time is Anna Karenina. And when I tell people that, they be like, you are.
there are gonna be others who are feeling that book as well. Yeah, I know you're not alone. I know you're not alone. So it'll be interesting to see who else says that they're about that life. Now, if we were to ask you to create your own playlist, at least 5 songs or 5 artists or 5 albums, what
Mhm.
would make it on today's playlist? knowing
Mm,
that music is, at least for myself, it's fluid. That if you catch me on a Monday, I might say one thing. Catch me on a Tuesday, I'm saying Craig David. Catch me on Wednesday, maybe it's Brian McKnight. So just at this moment, what would make Day's playlist?
Raheem Devon.
Raheem, okay, number one.
Um, what am I listening to right now? I'm gonna be so embarrassed for saying this, but Future,
Okay,
Bruno Mars.
sensational. Okay, not mad at you. Go for it.
Nas would definitely be on my playlist.
Nice, Illmatic. All right,
Jasmine Sullivan,
chat. That's a good one. Four.
Erica Badu.
Erica Badu. Five. There you have it, folks. There you have it. That's a dope playlist right there. That's a dope playlist. If someone were to go and they wanted to purchase one of your products, if we're getting a plug in right now,
Hmm.
what's the website?
So my website is Helen Rose Co. So HelenRoseCO.com. They can also purchase on my TikTok shop. So under Helen Rose
Okay,
Skin Care. I'm on Amazon under Helen Rose Skin Care. I'm at Whole Foods. I'm at 6 Whole Foods stores in Oregon and Washington. And then
excellent.
on my website, there's also a list of all of the like local shops and things that sell my products. So yeah.
In my best future voice, sensational. So, so to anyone who is listening, there you go. Please go check her out. She's a fantastic, phenomenal Black businesswoman by the name of Bibb, owner, founder of Helen Rose Skin Care Company. I am Mr. Pierre. She's Bibb, and this has been another episode of the Chronicles of Mister. We're out.